Before time began.
There was me. So, it's no secret that I adore Transformers. I'd honestly even say that my love for Transformers is equal to my love for comics. And for anyone who's been following this channel for a while now,
y'all know I kinda like me some comic books.
Like, seriously, John Hasbro has me in a chokehold here. Like, look at this. My point here is that I love Transformers. Ironically, though, I've never really been a huge fan of the Transformers movies. The first one was fine, it's a decent popcorn flick. In fact, I actually recently rewatched it with some family, and honestly, it's one of those movies that is infinitely funnier when you have people to watch it with. Like, what do you mean that your grand plan to stop the Decepticons from getting the Allspark is to go into a highly populated city and hide it? Genius plan here, guys. I'm sure that won't go horribly wrong. Anyway, but other than that, the rest go from mad to just being downright awful. That is up until Bumblebee, which I consider to be like almost like a renaissance for the Transformers movies. Like, for the first time, these movies had the actual soul of Transformers. Like, compare Optimus' design from Bumblebee to the Bay movies, or even Shockwave from Bumblebee to the Bay movies, or Soundwave from Bumblebee to the Bay movies, or Starscream, or RC. You get my point. Continuing on that, Rise of the Beast wasn't nearly as good as Bumblebee, but I still really liked it. It felt like a step in the right direction. But it didn't quite hit that, like, peak yet, right? Anyway, y'all can read the title. Transformers 1 is genuinely the best Transformers movie, and it's not even close. Like, not even Bumblebee holds a candle to it. And since I'm a huge Transformers fan, and it's, you know, literally in my DNA, I really wanted to talk about it. So here's a review/discussion for Transformers 1. Obviously, we'll be talking spoilers throughout most of this video, so be warned. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, please go watch it. I highly recommend it, and then come back here later. Alright? Cool. Let's get started. Alright, let me start this by just saying, look at Alright, I just want to say my script put fanboy noises, and I don't even realize what I was thinking about, like what noise to make when I was writing that. So I am very sorry for your ears. Anyway, I honestly thought Across the Spider-Verse was going to remain as my all-time favorite animated movie, but man, this movie blew Spider-Verse out the water for me. Mainly because Transformers 1 is literally everything I've ever wanted out of a Transformers movie. Like, I honestly can't think of real negatives to give it, aside from that I wish the movie was longer. Anyway, for the sake of organization, I'll be dividing the review into multiple different sections, each with their own little subtopic. And yeah, let's just get into it. I just want to talk Transformers, man. Okay, I'll admit I had very low expectations for the voice acting side of things. Like, looking at that initial cast reveal, it reminded me of the whole Chris Pratt as Mario reveal direct. Like, that's certainly an animated movie cast, alright. But I will fully admit, I was remarkably wrong. Literally, all of them knocked it out of the park. Chris Hemsworth as Orion Pax was actually kind of impressive. Like, I'm not gonna lie, after the first 20 minutes or so, I kind of forgot he was the voice for Orion. Like, don't get me wrong, he's no Peter Cullen, but I was pleasantly surprised with how well his voice actually fit Orion Pax. And then you've got the others. Scarlett Johansson as Alita, Keegan-Michael Key as Bumblebee. And honestly, he didn't play a huge role in the movie, but I loved Steve Buscemi as Starscream. That's just one of those castings you don't think about, and then you hear it and you're like, yes, perfect. Anyway, they all did wonderful with their roles. But I have a personal favorite from the cast, and it's Brian Tyree Henry as D16, or as we'd come to know him, Megatron. Alright, so I'll be completely upfront here. I'm a Decepticon boy. Don't get me wrong, Optimus Prime is one of my all-time favorite characters from just fiction alone. And while I do love the Autobots, if you were to ask me who my favorite Transformers are, I'd 100% be listing off more Decepticons than Autobots. So, while I loved Orion's Pax arc in the movie, where he becomes Optimus and, you know, all that, I was way more invested in seeing how D16 would fall from grace. And by Primus, they did it. They managed to pull it off. You see, when the trailer came out, I was initially worried that they would have gone the easy route and said, oh, his T-Cog was the Fallen's and it corrupted him, blah blah blah. You kind of get that. And that would have been lazy. But no, they actually went the route of making his fall actually compelling. Like, you can't entirely blame the guy for turning into Megatron with what happens in the movie. You know, it just kind of makes sense. It works for his character. And I won't go into details because I kind of want to keep this a relatively short video, but I keep looking at clips of the movie online, and specifically 2 scenes. The "I'm done saving you" and the scene where he says, "I want to kill him." Both of those are peak Megatron, in my opinion, and it's just perfectly written, in my opinion. Like, where he says he wants to march Sentinel through the mines in chains, that is just... that's Megatron, you know? That's when you kind of get that first idea, like, yeah, I could see how this guy is gonna turn from sweet D16 into the Tyrant, right? Anyway, both of those scenes just kind of give me chills, and I love it. In fact, D16's arc is easily my favorite part of the entire movie, and it blends perfectly into our next topic, the tone. Alright, I'll be the first to admit, man, this movie's marketing did not do it any favors. Because this movie is a lot darker than the trailers gave off. Like, I'm a huge Transformers fan, and even I was kind of put off by that first trailer. Anyway, the movie is darker, and I love it. For those who know me, you know that the Cybertron games are my all-time favorite piece of Transformers media. And that's completely because of the tone. And I'm proud to say that Transformers 1 has joined those games on my all-timer list for that exact same reason. This genuinely feels in line with both of those games, and while the 2 games are set during the War of Cybertron, this is before, and man does it show. Iacon looks stunning. It was genuinely what you'd imagine a golden age Cybertron to look like. At least, you know, in brackets, golden. Anyway, I'd love that if we do get another one of these movies, and by the gods I hope we do, that we get to see Iacon deteriorate from this, like, golden paradise looking city to being just in ruins because of the Civil War. Imagine that over the course of a trilogy. I'm just saying, it would be peak. Man, this movie was jammed full of Easter eggs for Transformers fans, and there's one I really want to talk about, but I love it so much I'm making it its own section, so we'll just get to that in a few minutes. But off the top of my head, here's some of the ones I noticed. There's probably a lot more in the movie, I'm just going off what I remember. So the Primus transformation in the intro is almost a one-to-one of the Primus toy from, I think it was the Cybertron show. I can't remember which continuity it was from. But the transformation of that was almost one-to-one to the actual toy. And during the Iacon 5000, you could see the name of various Autobots like Blur, Hot Rod, Cliffjumper. I think Hound was in there too, but I don't remember for sure. Don't quote me on that one. And then my personal favorite, because it correlates with D16, his head on his cogless design, it's black. And that is a reference to the Marvel Comics Megatron, where he has the same kind of general color scheme. Look, the list goes on, and like I said, there's one big one I want to talk about, so we're just going to jump right into that. Alright, so first of all, the soundtrack might be one of my favorite parts of this movie, because while I can't show it off for copyright reasons, it is filled with motifs from previous Transformers soundtracks, but mainly Transformers Prime. And that is because the composer for this movie, Brian Tyler, is the same one that composed the soundtrack for Transformers Prime. And I had no idea about any of this before I saw the movie. So during the scene where Orion Pax is falling into Cybertron's core, you can actually hear the main theme for Transformers Prime. And when my brain connected the dots as to what I was hearing, man, I was like, that's the thing! You know? Like, I was like super hyped. Like, I don't think I've actually ever said this out loud, so I'll say it now. Transformers Prime is probably my favorite of all the different Transformers cartoons. That one just kind of hits, you know? So hearing the main theme while he's falling into the core and all the different Primes are talking to him, chills, man. I was like... But wait, there's more. During the initial fall Orion has into the core, like before he gets all the Prime stuff going on, you can hear what kinda sounds like an orchestral version of the Death of Optimus Prime theme from the '86 movie. And I might be crazy on this one, I can't verify it, but if anyone else can, I could have sworn I heard part of the Fall of Cybertron theme during Megatron's kind of awakening scene. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. That one could just be complete bias kicking in. But my point is, the soundtrack is amazing. Huge props to Brian Taylor for all of it. It's just, I love it all. Alright, so I just wanted to take a moment for a section and give some context for all this. And sorry if this gets a little too sappy and emotional. I'll have a time card for if you want to skip this part, I totally understand. But Transformers as a franchise means a lot to me personally. Not just because it's something I grew up with, but it's something my dad grew up with too. See, when I was younger, I'd watch the same 70s and 80s cartoons that my dad would watch throughout his childhood. And it's something he shared with me. It's why I genuinely get excited over things like Transformers, Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe. Even my love for Star Wars came from him. I could even say you could probably trace my love for comic books back to him too. Like, if I'm being honest here, spoiler alert, I'm only in my 20s. So it's not exactly common for someone my age to get hyped over He-Man. But all these different properties and just me being excited over it, it's something that helps me feel connected to my dad. My dad actually passed away in 2021, and he was someone I was very close to. In fact, he's one of the reasons I even do content creation in the first place. And very recently, I had lost my mom too. In fact, it was on the same day as my dad, so needless to say, it's currently a very hard time in my life. So I can't stress enough how perfectly timed this movie was. It was exactly what I needed in that moment. This could be entirely biased, but for the first time during one of these movies, it actually felt like a Transformers movie to me. And not just an action movie with the branding of Transformers like the Michael Bay movies. It actually felt like it had the spark of the franchise that I've grown to love. It had the lore, the characters, and just the spirit of what makes Transformers Transformers to me. Alright, enough of that sappy stuff for now. My point is, this Transformers movie is the best one, and I highly recommend it. And if, for some reason, you're watching this video without having already seen it, then, why are you here? Get your butt into a theater as soon as possible! It's not doing too hot at the box office, man, and I refuse to go back to the Bayverse quality movies. Please, I beg of you! Anyway, I'm not expecting this video to do super well, I just kinda wanted to make it for my sake. So, if you're watching this one, thank you, I really appreciate it. Due to the overwhelming support on that second Rivals video I made, the next video will also be another wishlist for Marvel Rivals. In fact, I did a poll and it's what you guys wanted. So I'll gladly take another chance to fanboy about Marvel characters. But expect some super obscure picks in there this time. And don't forget, if you'd like to support the channel, check out my Redbubble. And if you're in need of some gaming energy, go pick up some Poggers and use EuroPoggers at checkout, or use the link in the description. And if this is somehow your first video, make sure to hit subscribe. I'm really aiming for the 1K goal, and it would mean a lot if you do subscribe, so thank you. Hey, Editor Euro here. One more thing. As I was finishing the editing for this video, I actually hit YouTube Partner. Yippee! So now, if you'd want to support the channel directly, you can, by becoming a true supporter. You get exclusive content such as loyalty badges, some super cool new emotes to use in chat and comments, but wait, there's more. You also get early access to new videos, a shout out at the end of every video, priority replies and comments, and access to membership only posts and polls that will help decide future videos. Anyways, thank you for your support, back to past me. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and don't forget, please go watch Transformers 1, I'm begging you! I can't go back to Doritos Starscream! Please, I can't!